Hi there, it's Wendy Lynn. Welcome back to my kitchen. This afternoon, as promised, I'm going to show you how I make sirloin steaks with the sous vide method. And when it's done, it's going to taste just like a filet mignon. So for those of you who like filet mignon, but you have a sirloin steak budget, this video is for you. So I've got these nice sirloin steaks. I got them at Costco. They were just a little over $9 a pound. So it cost about $26 for all of these steaks. What I'm going to do first is make a rub. And the rub that I use has some black pepper, a little sea salt, some garlic powder, smoked paprika, and a little bit of brown sugar. I like a lot of pepper. I kind of like a steak with a pepper crust. So I do have a generous amount of pepper, probably about 2 tablespoons of pepper in here. I'm going to put that in the bowl. Got just about a teaspoon of the sea salt, teaspoon of the garlic powder, and about a teaspoon of the smoked paprika. All that in there. And then just probably about a teaspoon and a half of brown sugar. That just really kind of gives a savory and makes all those flavors come out in the steak. So I'll just whisk this up real good. Make my own little rub here. Try to get those clumps out. And I'll probably use all of this on this amount of steaks. But you can make this ahead of time if you want. Put it in a little baggie or a jar. Okay, so I've got my rub. Now I do always rinse my meat, so you can do whatever you want, but I rinse my meat and pat it dry. That way these seasonings are going to really stick to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just generously put these seasonings on. I'm going to rub them all in there, and I'm not afraid to touch my meat. And I am going to just stick my fingers back in there because I'm not going to use this rub for anything else. I'll be using it for all of these steaks here. And the one thing about sous vide cooking is you do want to generously season your pieces of meat. Sous vide cooking is like a pasteurization method of cooking. It cooks at a constant temperature to get the desired level of rareness you want in your meat. I like my steaks medium rare, as does the rest of my family. So I will tell you what temperature we're going to do that, and then I'll guide you on temperatures for other levels of doneness for your steak. All right, so just going to pause the video while I finish seasoning these, and we'll get back into just a minute, and we'll show you how I'm going to vacuum seal this meat before we sous vide it. So now I have my steaks generously seasoned with my rub, and see how nice those look. A nice coating with my rub. It's going to be so good when it's done. So the next step for sous vide cooking is you need to have your meat in a vacuum sealed bag. I use my food saver for this. You can use a Ziploc baggie. You just need to make sure you get all the air out, because you want to make sure that the meat is completely submerged in your water bath when you're sous videing meat. So I'm going to just turn on my food saver there, and I'm going to just show you how I vacuum seal one of these. I've got my bags prepared here. So I'm going to just slip a piece of meat in there. That sounded kind of funny, didn't it? Well, my friends that know me, I am kind of a comedian sometimes. So anyhow, all right, so I've got my piece of meat in my bag, and I'm going to go ahead and seal that up. It's going to be noisy. Okay, so while this is sealing, basically all of the air has been vacuumed out of that bag, and that will help our meat to be completely submerged when we're cooking in the sous vide. All right, so I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and do these other pieces of meat, and then I'll show you how we start the sous vide cooker up. Okay, so I've got all of my steaks vacuum sealed, and you can see how that looks. Got 5 steaks total, so I put 2 in 2 bags and 1 in 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and get my sous vide cooking system all ready to go. I did fill it up with water, and you do want to get your sink water hot before you put it in there. Get the water as hot as possible. Then I'm going to take my sous vide cooker by Anova. This is the precision cooker, and we're going to just clamp it on my water bath. Now, you don't have to have the Anova water bath. You can actually use a large pot. You would just fill it up with hot water the same way, and then you would attach your sous vide cooker onto the edge of the pot. Now, you do want to make sure there is a water fill line. You need to make sure that you're in between the minimum, which is well below the water already, and the maximum. You got to make sure your water bath is in that range. We're going to go and plug it in. Okay, now what we're going to do, my family, we personally like our steaks medium rare. So what we're going to do is set the temperature for medium rare on the Anova precision cooker. So what we do, right now it's currently showing the top temperature is what the actual water temperature is right now. And then the bottom temperature is what the cooker is set at. It's currently set at 145. I think the last time I used it, I did some chicken, so that's the temperature I used for that. But for a sirloin steak that you want medium rare, you're going to set the temperature to 129 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to use my scroll button, and I'm going to go ahead and just go down to 129. Now, everybody doesn't like their steak medium rare, so you would want to adjust the temperature for how you like your steak. So if you want a rare steak, you're going to want to set the temperature to 120 degrees. If you want a medium steak, it'd be 135. If you want medium well, then you're going to do 145. And for those of you who like your steak well done, you're going to set it at 156 degrees. So those are the temperatures. I'll put those in the comments below if you need to have those. All right, so I've got my temperature set to 129. I'm going to hit the start. And now that has started my cooker, and this is going to cause the water bath temperature to increase to 129 degrees. It will stay constant during the whole time that you are cooking your steaks. So what I'm going to do is drop my steaks in my water bath. Just going to drop those in there like so. They should sink down because they're vacuum sealed. Just going to put those all in there like so. There we go. All the steaks are completely submerged. Now, once this gets up to 129 degrees, it's going to beep to let me know. And then I am going to just let these babies hang out in this water bath for 4 hours. You don't have to cook it for 4 hours. The minimum you would want to cook it would be an hour and a half. But I have found that 4 hours is the sweet spot for the type of consistency that I like on my steak. And it's going to be like butter when we eat those later on tonight. So I'm going to put this little lid on. It just helps with condensation to keep the water level the same. And we're going to let those cook for 4 hours. And then I'll see you back here later on tonight. Okay, so my steaks have sous vide for 4 hours, and I've already taken them out of the water bath. I took 2 of the steaks out of their bags, and I've patted them dry, so they're completely dry. And now I'm going to go ahead and sear them in a cast iron skillet. So you want to get a good heat on there because we're going to do a high sear to get a nice crust on our steaks. And we're going to use a little canola oil for that. We don't want to use extra virgin olive oil or butter because they don't have a high burning point. So I'm going to go and put these steaks in there. Use my tongs because this is going to be pretty hot. And these are fully cooked, but we're just going to get that nice sear on there. Okay, look at that. So we're going to let that sear for about 30 to 45 seconds on each side. Let that get nice and golden crust on there. It's going to be so good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and flip these steaks over. That looks so good. And let that sear for another about 30 to 45 seconds. Okay, now we've got our steaks seared the way I like them. I'm going to take it off the heat there. And I'm going to go and put them on my cutting board. Would you look at those? Aren't those beautiful? So when you sous vide steaks and then you sear them in the cast iron skillet. Now you don't have to have a cast iron skillet. You can use a stainless steel skillet, but I prefer a good seasoned cast iron skillet. It just makes the flavor outstanding. The great benefit with the sous vide is that you don't have to let your steaks rest. Once they're done cooking, they're literally ready to go right out of the skillet. So I'm going to just have Brody zoom in on here on this steak. And isn't that a beautiful crust on there? And let's just go ahead and cut into this sirloin steak. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's perfectly cooked. And I'm going to just take a little bite of this to see how it tastes. Let's see here. It is really, really good. You guys are going to have to try this at home. It is literally tastes like a filet mignon on a sirloin steak budget. Now, one other thing I did want to throw in here is I've got some steaks. So some of my kiddos couldn't come tonight, so I'm going to save these steaks. They've been sous vide in the bags. And the nice thing about sous vide is if it turns out you have too much and you don't want to use it all that night, you can simply put these in the freezer and you can take them out another night. You thaw them out and you can just put them back in your sous vide water bath at the same temperature for about 15 minutes. And then you can take them out and sear them, and it's like you've had a freshly cooked steak. So that's a really great thing about sous vide meat. I hope you like my video, and you're going to have to try this steak. It is literally so good. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. I hope that you enjoyed watching me cook these steaks. And if you did, please like and subscribe and share my channel. Thanks. We'll see you on the next one.